The TV show Last of Season 2 was announced, and some of it actually doesn't look half bad, but I'm just very a little disappointed with some of the trailer. There will be slight spoilers, but anyway. Joel, starting off, looks like he has a therapist. What? Joel is not a guy. It's bad enough they made him so much more sappy in the show already. Joel is not the guy who would have a therapist. He runs away from his feelings at all cost. And then also, Abby's at like what looks like her father's grave or something. Why are they're just throwing subtlety out the window or something? And on top of that, there's one character I've seen that looks like their character from the game so far. Two now. Joel looks somewhat like Joel, and Jesse looks somewhat like Jesse. Everyone else looks nothing like who they're meant to be, to the point where there was actually a scene where they show the Horde running towards the place from Last of Us 2, the game, and there was a dude with binoculars. I had no clue who that was meant to be. I presume it's meant to be one of the people Ellie hunts down. But I was like, who is this guy? Who are you supposed to be? I'm very skeptical, like even more skeptical than I was for the first season, because the first season had me hyped. This one does not. And also, because they did this stupid thing of like, for some reason they had to set season 1 in 2023, which meant that the outbreak happened in 2003 instead of 2013 like the game, and that was dumb because now a lot of stuff just doesn't work. Like the song, they used the song from the game from Last of Us 2 in the trailer. That song didn't exist, and the only reason they were even able to come up with the excuse that Joel knew the song in the games, because the song wasn't out till 2014, but it was performed at live shows in 2013. So Neil Druckmann was able to be like, oh, Joel was at a live song and learnt how to play it. What's their excuse here? Oh, Joel made the song. Is that what the excuse is going to be? Joel's just now a legendary songwriter or something. What is wrong with the people making the show? It was bad enough that they had so much Last of Us 2 bait in Season 1 and the trailer for Season 1. And Season 2, if Season 1 was done right, I would have been so excited for Season 2. Because recently Last of Us 2 has replaced Last of Us 1 as my favorite game of all time, I've got to be honest. Or at least I have a three-way tie now between Last of Us 1, Watch Dogs, and Last of Us 2. So, not... This is so soul-crushing, because at the time of Season 1's announcement, Last of Us 1, favorite game of all time. Then, transitioning into Last of Us 2, I couldn't even be, like, on a boat over everyone else. Like, I'm hopeful that'll be better than what I didn't like, because I loved Last of Us 2, and it transitioned to become into our number one spot. So now it's just even worse, because not only do I already dislike what I see. Oh my god. I hate that they keep Bella Ramsey's Ellie. Her hair's too long for starters, so they can't even do the whole thing the game did where they pay homage to Tess. Because I don't know if you noticed, in Last of Us 2, Ellie wears her hair like Tess most of the time to pay homage to Tess. Or at least they don't put her hair in that style from what I've seen in the trailer. Also, Bella Ramsey, maybe the show will blow me away, but I do not believe Bella Ramsey is a person going on a rampage. Dina looks like she has makeup on her face. She probably doesn't, but she looks like she does. She doesn't look like Dina. And to be honest, she looks closer to Dina than other characters look to other characters, but like, she still looks nothing like Dina, and that it was very, very important for her to look like Dina. Dina's face model is a real person in real life. Why didn't they just pull an Alan Wake 2 or even The Last of Us 2 and put Dina and her voice actor together like they did in like that Resident Evil movie with just that actress and Ada's Wong's voice actress from Resident Evil 4. Like, Jesus Christ, they're doing everything wrong in my eyes, except for set design looked pretty good, I'll admit. I liked how they're dressing Joel and how they're making Joel look, but I hate that he has a therapist. I hate that the trailer starts with him at therapy and has him crying in the trailer. I remember 2 scenes of Joel crying in the game. And the reason I'm doing air quotes when I say crying is because one of those scenes, I don't even know if he was crying or he just had water on his face because he's in a panic and he just came out of water after rescuing Ellie. Like, there's one definitive scene of him definitely crying in Last of Us 1 in the game. And that proceeds across all the way to Last of Us 2, where there is now a, spoiler alert, there's a scene of him holding back tears. Never ever has Joel let the waterworks flow since his daughter's death. And the show, I've seen him cry a couple times now. And I'm sick of it. I know there's heaps of people saying they can't wait and stuff and that it looks really good. There's even like big Last of Us YouTubers I've seen, or Naughty Dog oriented channels I've seen, who are like, Last of Us 2 looks good. It looks mediocre at best, okay? Last of Us Season 1 was not that great compared to the game. And this isn't me doing the whole... Look, I can always admit when something's better or worse than the original version. And you guys know me. I'm critical of everything even when I love it, okay? But, Jesus Christ, this TV show is disappointing me so hard. Like... I was so hyped up for the Last of Us TV show when that initial trailer dropped, and then the next trailer had Take On Me playing in the background, and half my hype went out the window. And it was even more of it went out the window when I was watching the show. Like, they give characters from the game, like, the only voice actor from the game who I want to say was done justice was Tommy's voice actor, but even he was put into a group in the game that in the game just was basically just, we're gonna kill everybody who we don't know, and in the show was given unneeded characterization. Like, their whole appeal in the game was, these are just psycho killers who eat, like, I don't think they eat people, but they butcher people, steal their stuff, and move on. And Sam and Henry got caught up in that, just passing through. And in the game, they give it this whole big thing of they're hunting Sam and Henry, and I hate it. In the show, I mean, if I didn't say the show before. Like, Ashley Johnson should have just been... They made her mother in the show already. They should have just made her Ellie in Season 2. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying, okay? That would have worked. That would have 100% worked. That would have got me back. Even this trailer, if this trailer just revealed that, oh, after all this stuff you just watched, Ashley Johnson's Ellie, I would have been more positive receiving. And that's what should have happened. Yeah. Pedro Pascal. I know I just said Joel, I hate Joel crying and everything, but Pedro Pascal is the one saving grace of this show so far for me. He really is. And he barely even does a Texas accent at all. Like... Hello, little doggy. There's a little dog, by the way. He's disappointed as well, and he doesn't even know what The Last of Us is. I also realize now that I'm recording like a 10-minute video and I have my phone propped up in my hand like this. Portrait mode, portrait style. Probably shouldn't have done that, but I just... Like, The Last of Us 2 is so, like... Last of Us 1, in many ways, is better than the second game, but Last of Us 2 is such a special game to me, especially since it's the game I've been asking for years. I've said so many times I want the most depressing, gory, scary game they could possibly made, and they hit 2 out of 3, okay? They made a depressing, gory game, and although it wasn't the scariest game ever made, they hit some of the horror and the visuals and some scenes. The Stalkers were done justice finally. They were no longer this just super annoying enemy. They actually served a purpose. Like, but they still were kind of annoying, I'll admit, but at least they weren't annoying for the sake of being annoying. In the first game, they just sort of come out and they're cool in the first game, but then they get very annoying very fast. In the second game, they stay a little more enjoyable for longer until later on. And Abby, they didn't show much of her, But from what I've seen, I'm pretty sure she don't have muscles. I'm pretty sure she don't got no muscles, and that's sort of like a very important thing to her character. Like, it actually plays into the story, her having muscles. So, if she don't have muscles, what's the point? I would never believe in a million years, too, that if she didn't have the muscle, she would even get to this point, you know? To, like, because the whole thing was her dad died, so she put on so much muscle to get her revenge. And, like, I don't know. And they should have just... I hate so much. I really despise the game, I mean the show, not being set in 2033, or the first season, I mean, because that just ruins so much stuff. It ruins so much stuff, like heaps of stuff. Like, they couldn't even put like an Uncharted reference in or anything like the games did, because Uncharted didn't exist until 2007. Like, they can't reference any other Naughty Dog IPs unless they wanted to throw like Jak and Daxter or Crash Bandicoot in there. Why would they reference those in the Last of Us TV show? Like most people who play Uncharted and Last of Us probably aren't going to even recognize Jak and Daxter. Like, there's an Easter egg to it in Last of Us 2. And I had to take, like, ages, because I was like, that seems familiar, but I have no clue what I'm looking at. And I realized later I was looking at a Jak and Daxter Easter egg I didn't even remember. And I've played Jak and Daxter. Like, I know this one's a bit of a nitpick, but, like, you know, it was going to the important stuff that's ruined. I'm patting you. Going into the important stuff that's ruined by it being set not in the time of the game. Obviously, the song... Joel, that was very important in the game, the song. And if they don't play that song, it's gonna ruin the story. If they play that song, it's gonna ruin the immersion. Because, like, do we not remember, HBO? Well, you probably don't remember, but Neil Druckmann not remember? It was probably not him who said it in 2003 in the first season, but, like, do we not remember Joel's whole... Well, it's in season 1. Do we not remember Joel saying that he wanted to be a singer, but he never became one? So I don't believe him writing this song. Because if he wrote this song, he would have... You know, first off, he wouldn't have wrote this song. Second off, if he did write this song, he would have been a rich man, okay? He wouldn't have been a contractor, because it was an actual, very well-made song, okay? And... also, they're doing what they did in season 1, where they do things ahead of when they're supposed to do them for fan service, rather than in the order they happen. Like, they show a scene from the end of the game right at the beginning of the trailer. I hope that doesn't mean it's going to be happening at the beginning of the game, because it really, really hits hard home the point of the game by having it at the end. On top of that, Ellie is dressed in a Seattle Day 1 scenario, she's dressed like Seattle Day 2. Dina is dressed like Seattle Day 2 as well in the Seattle Day 1 scene. I really... Jesse looks pretty good. His hair isn't long enough. We'll have to wait and see. He hasn't spoken, so we'll have to wait and see if he sounds like Jesse. If he sounds like Jesse, then it's perfect casting. If he doesn't sound like Jesse, it's kind of off. Because his hair's not right. But, like, other than that. And, I've been talking for 15 minutes. Like... But, you know. Isaac looks too young, to be honest. If I'm being honest with you, I want to quickly pull that back up on my screen. I'm not going to show it to you. I'm just going to look at it myself. Isaac, first off, he's bold. Isaac wasn't bold in the game. And that actually might be the problem. Not that he's too young, it's that he's bold. Isaac is not bold in the game. He has hair. So this just doesn't look like Isaac to me. It looks like a guy who, like, maybe found Isaac's dead body because he dies in the game. He, like, came across Isaac's dead body, put on his shirt. He's like, hey, I have a beard as well. I'm just gonna tell people I shave my head and say, hey, I'm this guy now. And no one believes him, but they just run along with it because he acts the exact same. So it's like, okay, well, you're Isaac, I guess. That's what it looks like. He doesn't look like Isaac. If he had hair on his head, I might believe it, but... And we also, again, haven't heard this guy's voice. We don't know what a lot of these people sound like. Unless maybe they've acted in other stuff and I just don't recognize them or don't remember them. There is one actress I know. She's in, like... I think she's this actress from... Let me double check. Is she the actress from Beetlejuice and Schitt's Creek? God, I hate that Joel has a therapist. I don't know. I can't really tell. Jackson, the town, looks really good, I'll admit. I think the set design looks better than Last of Us Season 1, because Last of Us Season 1 felt like sets, if you get what I mean. Like, it looked good, but I felt like I was looking at set design. I feel that a little bit here too, but not to the same extent. Actually, no, I feel it to the same extent. What is this? I feel like I could look over the top and there'd be nothing at the back. Looking at this, and I do mean it. It almost looks CGI'd in, almost like they CGI'd a town. Or, to be honest, do you know what might be a more accurate description? It looks like they were trying to make a Red Dead Redemption TV show when it comes to the town itself, and then. Ellie, for some reason, is wearing a long sleeve shirt in the guitar playing scene. Which, this is going to sound like an extreme nitpick, but it's not, trust me. Well, it is, but let's pretend it's not. In the game, she's wearing a singlet, okay? And that's for a very important reason. So we can see her entirety of her arms and get the bandage on her arm. You can see the bandage slightly in the show, but, like, the whole point is to accentuate the bandage and be like, whoops, she's done something to her arm, or it's to cover up the bite, or what's happened, you know? Because it's been so long, game time and real time, since the first game came out to the second game. But, it's not like a game, they can't pull what Silent Hill 2's been doing, and they could just change everything on a whim to look more like the original, because that's a TV show. They've probably finished everything. They're doing the final touches, because the show's been announced to come out next year. They probably filmed majority of the episodes, or majority of the scenes, and they're doing reshoots or something, or they're got like 3 episodes left to finish, and then they're gonna just be editing and putting it all together and have all the spare time to just fix anything they want to fix and stuff like that. So I'm not hopeful. I'm hopeful that it will be good, but that hope is very dim, because you guys are sick of me talking about The Last of Us 2, but The Last of Us 2 is the closest I have ever come to a game making me cry. It's the only game ever to make me feel real emotions that I don't feel artificial. You know, do you get what I mean? Like, games, like, they do stuff that's sad, and you might feel actually sad, but for me, I always feel like more like I wish I could be sad. Last of Us 2 just made me genuinely sad. I finished the game one time skipping all the cutscenes and felt depressed at the end. It's a masterpiece. It is Naughty Dog's best game. Even if I don't know which one I like better out of 2 or 1, I can say with all certainty Naughty Dog's best game is Last of Us 2. It is their most I want to say it's their most influential. Not influential. It is. No, it is technically, but it's their most. What's it called when it makes the biggest change? I forget the word. It makes. It's not the biggest change. It's the. Innovative. It is their most innovative game since the first Uncharted. And I would have said since the first Last of Us, but the Last of Us really just innovated even more on what Uncharted did when it comes to storytelling and stuff like that. Last of Us 2 actually genuinely messed with the formula to the point where it was the big risk, and it honestly in half the cases didn't pay off because of those leaks that happened. So people went in with already tainted expectations in a lot of cases, and some people only it's going through a slight watchdogification where people are coming around to it, but a lot of people are not coming around to it still. Like, to this day, I see comments on trailers for stuff of, if I see Neil Druckmann's name attached to it, I'm not watching it. And Watch Dogs doesn't have that anymore. Last of Us 2 does. That's what I'm saying. Like, Last of Us 2 took a massive risk for it to only pay off to either people who think Naughty Dog can't do any wrong, or people who can understand what they were going for. Like, even me, I had to take a little bit, like, I thought it was a masterpiece when I finished it, but the ending, for me, I had to take a bit to really think on it, to get my full thoughts, because when I finished it, I wasn't too hot on the ending. It kind of was like an Alan Wake 2 situation for me, where I don't know if I like the ending or not, but unlike Alan Wake 2, on further playthroughs and looking into it more, I've come around to the ending. Alan Wake 2, I'm still in the same place where I'm like, I don't know if I like it or not. Last of Us 2, I wouldn't end it any other way. Last of Us 2's ending, really, like, even how I was thrown off by Joel's flashback at the very end when she's, like, strangling Abby, and it, like, clips to Joel and then she stops. Like, even that, I've come around to, and I understand now. But I think I've rambled on enough. It's just this. The game is so important to me, and I just want to see justice done to it. It's like there's the Last of Us Season 2 coming out, and then there's the Watch Dogs movie. I don't know nothing about the Watch Dogs movie. When that comes out, everything I haven't seen nothing about it, like, at all, except for one dude making a video like, oh, they've been done for 3 months. And I was like, what? There's been a Watch Dogs movie in production for 3 months and they finished it? But anyway, I digress. If The Last of Us 2 Season 2 is bad, I don't know. My hope right now is it's going to be a 5 out of 10. Because, honestly, I know a lot of people. I might be Last of Us Season 1's biggest critic, to be honest. Because a lot of people who give it a chance, I'm going to say, not just people who outright are going, it's bad. Because it's not that bad. But a lot of people either give it a 10 out of 10 or a 5 out of 10. For me, it's a 3 out of 10 show. It's a 4 at best. I used to say 5 or 5.5, but more than I think it, because I was saying that because I was a little more lenient, because I was like, well, this is obviously mainly made for people who haven't played the game, and then also they're changing it up so people who have, to try to give maybe more of a surprise to people who have. But when I'm thinking about it, it's like, you can't use that as an excuse to just ignore source material or change source material where it doesn't work, just because people who haven't played the game won't notice that. For example, the line delivery, or telling them not to play the game so that the line delivery will be their own, doesn't work. It works for people who haven't seen the game before. And they might even, being seen the show first, go and play the game and think that the show's line delivery is better, which I find that hard to believe, because... But, like, scenes like the... You have no idea what loss is scene That was a terrible impression, but I wasn't doing an actual impression. It was just so you get the tone. That scene is so rushed. Everything's rushed in the show. Everything, that's how I feel. It's rushed in a lot of places. There's one moment I really like where, and this is where the subversion's done well. They're doing the scene. Ellie is got done dealing with David. She's on top of him, slamming him in the face with a machete. After a couple hits in the game, Joel runs into the burning building, grabs Ellie, and they have that big emotional moment. Ellie's in tears, and they pans down to the machete and they leave. In the show, Ellie just keeps whamming and whamming and whamming and whamming, and then she stops. And she get up, she walks outside into the snow, and then she's just grabbed by someone. And you're like, wait, what? And then it turns out it's Joel. And Joel's here now outside, and they're in the snow, and the snow's all swirling around them. It's such a good moment. And I wish all the other subversions of expectations went like that. And not like how they do. Like, I hate... They completely cut Robert out of the game, and Robert is so important. I mean, they cut Robert out of the show, and Robert's so important to the game to really show what kind of people Tess and Joel are, and all this, and they're just gone. He's just gone, I should say. And it's disappointing. But back to like, there's the scene where they're at Joel's apartment, and she's like, and he lays down in bed on his lounge and goes to sleep, and she's like, so what are you doing? And he's like, killing time. And she's like, so what am I supposed to do? And he's like, I am sure you'll figure that out. It's just meant to show that he's kind of cold, kind of distant. She wants to try to get to know him at least, so that she knows what kind of people she's hanging around, but he's like, it's just a job for him. In the show, they like have a screaming match, like, what the hell are you doing? Killing time. I don't remember if he says it like that, but this next part is 100% actually how it goes. And I remember what the F am I supposed to do? I am sure you will figure that out. And then he goes to sleep, and she storms off. Like, why are they angry? Like, I get that in the show, Tess doesn't just grab Ellie's arm and remove the knife when she goes to stab Joel. She runs out to actually, like, murder him, and he throws her at the wall, and it's hilarious. But, like, first, I don't think that really warranted them being angry at each other instead of just, I'm sure you'll figure that out. I'm sure you will figure that out. And also, the scene I was talking about before, in the game, it's like, I'm sorry about your daughter, Joel, but I've lost people too. And Joel's like, you have no idea what loss is. And then in the show, he's like, you have no idea what loss is. That's how he says it, unironically. You have no idea what loss is. Like, they don't linger or anything. And this is where, thinking back on stuff like this, is where I threw my philosophy of, well, it's not for me entirely out the window. Because regardless, that's sort of like, let's say with The Witcher TV show. I haven't really watched all of it yet, but I know season 3 changes the actor and stuff, and I know people aren't happy about that. But that was like, if me, as somebody who didn't really enjoy the gameplay of The Witcher, so I didn't really play through the story, just went, stop whining about the actor changing. It's not for you anyway. It's for someone like me who hasn't read the books or played the games. You'd hate me, wouldn't you? Like, that's not a good excuse. That's not a good excuse. Like, so, if maybe season 2 is going to be an absolute bang hit masterpiece and all the subversions will be done well, and the only problem is going to be Joel having a therapist and the casting. But I don't have that much hope. I think what's going to happen is it's going to be possibly better than season 1, maybe get to an actual 5 out of 10, like a comfortable 5 out of 10 show that I won't say I hate, but I won't say I liked, just because, and isolated on its own, removing season 3, it's going to be like a 4. Season 1, it will be like a 4. Because Last of Us 2's plot as well, the reason I was harping on I don't want them to change around scenes is because Last of Us 2's plot heavily relies on its pacing and its timing and its scene placement. You change the scene placement, the story is different, gives you different meaning. Like, when people are like, oh, you should have played the scenarios in order, or, oh, you should have had this scene here, remove this scene. It doesn't work because it defeats the purpose. And the game, regardless if you... The game's not going to hit as hard if you don't play part 1, right? But the game itself holds up on its own regardless if you've played it. But it's more... That is a game that was made for people who've played the first game. It was a game that went, sorry, if you haven't played the first one, this isn't for you. Unless you're just playing a game for it to be a game. And you don't care about story, okay? But the show should have been, this is for people who haven't played the game and have played the game. But overall, it's for people who've played the game. That's what it should have been, because that's when Last of Us story works the best, when they acknowledge what it started with. And Last of Us TV show actively acknowledges it just to subvert it, which is not good. That isn't good, in my opinion. Some remakes, that's good. When they're doing a remake and everything's subverted, like Silent Hill 2's upcoming remake of a game, subvert stuff by they're moving all enemy locations. Every single one is going to changing how you fight the enemy. That's a good subversion of expectations. And if in this Last of Us show coming up, they try to do stuff like that, but they do it in such a horrible way. Like, instead of soldiers, it's infected. Which could have worked, but at that point it just means that there was like almost no Fedra soldiers because they replaced the Fedra soldiers scene, and then later on when they actually decide, you know what, we're replacing all the human encounters, we need to put more humans in, they end up replacing infected scenes with human scenes, and vice versa again, and putting infected where they weren't, and putting... The bloaters in First Encounter wasn't at the school because the school doesn't exist anymore. Stuff like that is wrong. Don't do that. That's horrible. It's such a terrible change. Bill's town should... I hate that they replaced Robert, but I can live with Robert not being there if Bill's town was there. Bill's town not being there is the biggest mistake the show ever makes. I know there's people who love episode 3. Episode 3 is the worst episode overall because of what they changed. Bill's not meant to be a happy character. He's meant to be a reflection of what Joel could become if he goes down this road of being lonely and distant. Because Joel sort of carries this philosophy of anything to survive. And that's what Bill has. And Bill is now a nut job because of that philosophy. The show kind of removes all of that. What the show does instead is basically, if you're a nut job, eventually you're gonna find the love of your life. And you're gonna live in this nut job town happily ever after. Like, and it's also all a flashback. So Joel and Ellie sort of just, oh hey, I get a free car now. I get a free car, and we get our original outfits, which we're for some reason not just wearing the entire time. Stop, dog. It's just, I don't know. It's a big old mess in my eyes. It's a big old mess. There's one scene that I really, really enjoyed. I love the scene of her killing David. It's so good. But I hate the scenes of David being a secret evil villain rather than just everybody knowing what's going on. Because in the game, obviously the whole town is behind David. They're all behind his idea of eating people because they go out to kill this guy. Actually, no. They actually defy David because they go out to kidnap Ellie. And they're like, you know what, David wants her alive, let's just kill her. But in the show, it's more like, David's the greatest person ever. We have no clue that he eats people. Except for maybe one guy knows. which is Troy Baker. Troy Baker is now James. You know what James's role is in the game, and this is what I mean by not doing the actor's service. Well, the actors agree to it, so like I'm not like this is a big blunder in the actor's name, and they wouldn't like this. The actors agreed to do it, and actually, I think Ashley Johnson being Ellie's mother was a good thing, even though I don't like that scene anymore. I liked that scene before because I thought it was a way for them to make Ashley Johnson Ellie, but it wasn't. I don't like that, but anyway, James's role in the game is appear, get told to go get medicine, disappear, appear again with medicine, disappear again, appear again and to cut up little girl and die. But anyway, yeah, that's my 35-minute rant. Bye.